Hello again, folks. Next step in my prepping this Autopilot 136 from Old Town for my first foray into tournament fishing. Power pole, micro anchor. So the Autopilots, most of the Sportsman, the Big Water, the Sportsman 136, and I believe the 120s all come with these bolts. And I just peeled the sticker off and cleaned up with a little acetone where it was. With a power pole micro installed on this guy, the rudder makes contact near hard left rudder. So what we've done is Navarre kayak fishing down out of Florida. He has a, where did I put it? That's what I'm going to put on next. A mounting bracket that offsets these holes. There it is. And that's going to prevent those issues from happening. This is going to go on. It comes with some bolts. These guys come out. They're just placeholders, really. Take those off, and we're going to put the Navarre bracket on and then the power pole. I really like that he sent some stainless hardware with it too. And it's enough hardware to mount everything. All right, I have the Navarre kayak fishing offset bracket out of the bag. We're set up in the right orientation. There is a countersunk hole here, and that is to allow for our mount to fit on properly. The longest one we're going to save for last. That's going to go, it's the only one that needs to go down through both the power pole bracket and one of these holes. What I'm going to do, if you know what a power pole is, you know what they cost. So I am going to put a little bit of blue Loctite on this, and only a little bit, and not the red, because there may come a time where I want to take this off. But on the flip side of this, I don't want to lose it either. Better safe than sorry. We'll go a little bit of the blue on this. So I'm going to blue these guys up. I'm going to put them in. We're going to put them in here, here, and here. I'm going to snug them up, and then we'll continue on. So we're snugged up. One thing of note, very important for those of you putting these on, I would shy away from power tools. If we put too much torque on these, we're going to rip the threaded insert right out of the hull. So it just has to be snug, right? We're not pulling tractors and implements and trucks and tugboats and stuff with this plate. We're just mounting a power pole on it. So it doesn't have to be over the top. We're now installed on the Navarre plate. All right, so the long screw does work. I mean, Nick is a very knowledgeable guy. I shouldn't have even mentally questioned it. All right, we got Navarre kayak fishing plate in, screwed down with a little bit of blue Loctite because I don't want it to go away on me at any point or backing out. We're going to be transporting these things a couple hundred kilometers at times for tournaments. So I don't want that vibrating on the highway and then coming loose and then me being without a power pole when I need it. Then we've gone blue Loctite. The longest screw goes here. The other two slightly shorter machine screws go here, here, and here. And again, I'm just tightening up snug. Blue Loctite, I don't have to go nuts with the torque. And now our power pole plate is in place. Next step for me is I'm going to put the motor on, and I want to see where the best place is to go with a through hull. We'll drill the hole for that and continue on. So I'll be right back. Power pole micro anchor bracket on, motor on, and now we're kind of just checking where we want to go with the through hull. All right, decision made. If you ever had any doubt about the thickness or the quality of the Old Town hulls, let me tell you, I've sold a lot of different brands in the past, and that is the thickest of any other than that guy right there, which is probably equally as thick, I do believe. But they don't skimp on the plastic, and they can't because, I mean, this thing's I think it's 129 pounds without anything on it, with the motor, the seat, and everything off, I think. Time to get out the Dremel with the die bit. We will ream the hole. 1 second, I'll be right back. So I'm just going to open that up a little bit more, bevel the edge just to get any of the plastic off of it. We'll be right back. I'm going to drill my pilot holes first. That makes sense, right? So I want to line it up where I want it, and that looks pretty good right there. Drill my pilot holes, and I said I was going to size these. All right, I've gone with 7/64 inch for the pilot holes for the screws. Let's see if that'll work. I'm going to now pass the power cable through my gasket and the hardware, and then we'll route it through the waterproofing foam block. Be right back. All right, so what we've done is we've routed the main portion of the hardware, the gasket underneath of it, all the way up through the cable up to kind of where I figure I'm going to have it mounted. Okay, and then we've wrapped this foam we've put the foam in one of there's 3 inserts cut out of it towards the middle. So I've kind of wrapped it around the cable, pulled a little bit of the cable up, wrapped it around the cable, and then started feeding it and the cable down into the hardware to bring that foam almost flush with our triangular hardware piece. Then we can put our final cap on. So that's what we're looking at. Next is the machine screws, self-tappers, down and through 3 of them, and that portion of the install is done. Biggest thing for me coming from, I didn't do a lot of it, but just out of high school, I grew up in a fishing community. So I've done a fair bit of, over the years, commercial fishing, and I don't consider myself by any stretch a commercial fisherman. I've just helped out friends and family, spent a few seasons lobster trapping and herring fishing, and I actually worked in aquaculture for a bit. One of the things when you're on the water that you have to be absolutely mindful of is things that you can get wrapped up in, especially if there's some chance of them pulling you over, which with the size of gear we're using for like rod and reel fishing, it's not as big a deal, but you want to minimize stuff that you can get wrapped up in, that you can get trapped in, that you can get tripped over. You want to keep things as clean as possible. And that's, I guess, part of the reason why through hull things exist and stuff like that, and we're putting all this wiring down in the hull. So if you're doing this yourself, I recommend what I did was I used a 3/4 inch drill bit, and then I had to ream it with a Dremel. But it looks like the 1-inch hole saw hole bit will make a hole that 3/4 inch fits down into. So that's an issue. The only thing is, after already using a 3/4 inch, I could not use the hole saw because I couldn't be centered with this bit in a 1-inch hole. I didn't want to destroy the back of the boat, which I did put a couple of marks in, but they're covered, thankfully, by this. So I'd go with a 1-inch hole saw, drill your hole, Bob's your uncle. All right, so we're in. We've got wiring coming up the hull now for our micro anchor. All righty. So what I've talked to a couple of people about this, and what I think I'm going to do, I'll probably put another through hull back here somewhere, and I'm going to actually power the power pole with my motor battery. Got 100 amp, and that's going to keep that big draw off of my electronics battery. We need to protect the power pole motor because we've got other electronics on here, and we're using, you know, there's a fair bit of potential in, especially the 100 amp hour battery. We want to protect the motor. So we put an inline fuse, which the power pole micro comes with. And I got to open up and make sure there's a fuse in there. But fuse holder at least. We're going to just keep this inline in the hot side. So I connect this end with, obviously the end that's not already set up for the battery. So I'm going to attach simple red to red. But we're going to go here to here. That puts the fuse in line, so if something happens and the motor starts drawing more than what it is designed to handle, it'll burn out this fuse, right? So we're protecting that motor. Or if something happens and discharges I don't know if that could happen, but if we get something happening that discharges more amperage into the system itself, into our electrical system, than what that motor can handle, we're protected by a fuse that's going to melt beforehand. So I need to use, it comes with what looks like just a pinch connector. What I have, we're using this coming from a marine, a little bit of a marine background. I can tell you want to seal everything electrical. So I just got to figure out what size. It's not a 10 gauge. There's that. That's some of my connectors. Anyway, what I have are, this is the wrong size, but these are a solder connection that also contains heat shrink. So we're going to actually make a very solid connection by soldering the two ends together inside a heat shrink. So really good connection, no arcing, no potential for arcing. And then we're going to seal that up so no water can intrude into that connection and eventually corrode it or degrade its ability to transfer that electricity. What I'm going to do, because we're going to go to the main propulsion battery, my main 100 amp hour that I'm using also for the autopilot motor itself, I want to be able to disconnect that battery quickly to bring it in to recharge it. So for the power pole, I am going to run the same sort of male-female marine connection that the actual motor uses. So I'm going to run a second one. We're going to drill a hole down on the horizontal plane beside the battery down here and install the female plug. And then I'm going to put the male plug on the battery itself. Going to run a little bit of cable protector. Loom. There we go. A little loom on it. And then we're going to run just out of the battery box. I just want to see how they did the loom. Yeah, out of the battery box and then down. I'm going to drill a hole right here, and we're going to have our connection on there. So I've already made my first connection on the negative side. I'm going to cut off these cheap connections here on the positive end, trim back so we can butt splice and solder with these guys. Anyway, I'm going to finish off this plug for the battery, and I'll be right back. Drilled a hole. I've used a 3/4 inch hole saw, which is just the right size for this. It fits in real snug. We're going to put a little Sikaflex around this transition right in here just to seal that, and I may put some around. I don't know. That's probably all I'm going to do. First, we need to wire this bad rabbit in. So I'm going to trim this stuff off and use my heat shrink connections. All right, so I'm going to cut off these manufacturer installed butt splice connections, whatever they're called. All right, so I've trimmed the insulator off of that. I'll grab our power pole wire, and I'm going to heat shrink on my bench over here on the middle. This is 10 gauge. The power pole is 12, and these connectors are set up. They're a 10 to 12 connector, so this will work. All right, I made the connection. These solder connections have glue on either side, so it binds or it grabs each wire when it cools. And as you're heating, you melt the solder, so we have a very solid conductor. I'm going to finish this second splice to show you the end product, and then we can put a little caulking on our female plug. It will install it in the boat. I will zip tie up a coil of the leftovers and kind of keep it towards the back of the boat, away from my Panoptix stuff. All right, we're taped, installed. Now I'm going to drill my 2 pilot holes for my mounting screws. Then we're going to pull this out. I'm going to put a little Sikaflex on it. I'll tell you, this thing sure helps when you're putting in bulkheads on kayaks. I'll be right back. I got to pull my plug out and squeeze off around. I have applied it just a little bit. We don't need a lot. We just need to seal around the where the vertical goes to the horizontal on this. Okay, I put a thin coating of Sikaflex along the, whatever you want to call that, the vertical portion. As I push that down, it's going to squeeze it up and around just where I'm kind of going into. I'm going to install it with the door opening towards the side of the boat, just like this, because I've oriented my plug end to fit in that way and not to interfere with our Minn Kota plug. So I'm going to push this down in, screw it in place, and we'll be right back. It's pushed in place. That Sikaflex did exactly what I wanted it to. It extruded essentially out around the edge and sealed that space of the hole, and it even extruded kind of into the area of my 2 screw holes. So I'll screw it in. All right, install complete. I I put our fuse in, fusible link, whatever you want to call it, fusible link, fuse, in line on the positive side. We are plugged into my plug down here, which is silicone sealed. Our motor is also plugged in here. We got room for the seat to operate. And this allows us to be separate and away from our live view, the Panoptics, the LVS 32 and GLS 10. I think I'm going to put the GLS 10 over here. I'll put my yak power over here, and then my, for now, 30 amp hour battery is going to go in the middle, and I think I can Velcro that in there. That's the plan for now. That's the plan, Stan. I am done this for the day. Might get into the LED lights in the deck, and that's going to pretty well wrap up yak power as well until I get my Y connectors and can finish off the install. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. We'll be back. Thanks for watching. If you like what you watched, please subscribe to our channel. We're working very hard to make meaningful content like this for you. Also, hit the bell button down in the corner to get live updates as we upload content. If there are paddling or outdoor related subjects you'd like us to cover, please contact us. We would love to cover them for you. And if you're looking for really cool outdoor and paddling related pictures, please check out our Instagram feed and subscribe there too if you like what you see. Thank you very much. Bye.